All right. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Boston Boys Sports Podcast, episode 11. Today is Monday, June 10th, 2024. Happy early birthday to my little brother, Dave. He's been a huge help to this show. So happy birthday, Dave. And again, welcome back to another episode of Boston Boys Sports. And I'm here with the big fella, the best beard in the business, known as the Beard, Kiefer Bontos. Stevie couldn't join us today. He's feeling under the weather. So, Stevie, get better, man. We can't wait to do this again with you. How you doing today, Kiefer?
Oh, man. Long weekend, but I'm ready for this stuff. Let's go.
You ain't kidding, man. And I am, of course, your king of Carver, Eli Horrigan. I always want to mention we're partnered with Jones and for Sports. We make sports better. Check them out on Instagram. Check them out on YouTube. Check them out on X. Fantastic stuff. Put out daily. Those guys are unbelievable. Today, we're going to start talking about the Red Sox. They're 33-33. John Henry saying Red Sox fans have unrealistic expectations. And, of course, the NBA Finals. Game 2 is in the books. I know you're as happy as I am, Kiefer. Celtics take a lead into Dallas Wednesday, June 12th. But first, we're going to get to our opening thoughts. I'm going to lead us off today. I have two, and my real quick one is, I don't know if you seen the Dan Campbell press conference with the beat writer Mike O'Hara retiring?
I saw some of it, yeah.
I just thought it was a real class act. Dan Campbell's such a likable guy. Yeah, Mike O'Hara, who I don't know because I don't follow Detroit, but I guess 46 years in the business. But Dan Campbell, real class act. How can you not appreciate him? Taking a moment out for him. So that was just a little side note. But my real take is about Patriots quarterback coach T.C. McCartney and the development of Drake May. Now, I see you smiling and laughing, Kiefer. I'm so frustrated with the Patriots coaching staff. Like, I love Gerard Mayo, but he's a defensive coach. Alex Van Pelt hasn't called an offense since 2009. And T.C. McCartney, his last job, he was a tight ends coach. In fact, he was only a quarterback coach for 1 year in 2019 in Denver. Denver ranked 29th in passing yards, 32nd in passing touchdowns, 24th in net yards gained per pass. Their quarterbacks were a young Drew Lock, Joe Flacco, and Brandon Allen, and Denver was 7-9 that year. I am trying so hard to turn the corner on Drake May because I don't have any disdain against the kid. I want him to be good, and if it's just footwork, but is this another situation where they could be potentially setting him up for disaster?
Praying to God not. There was other people I wanted for the OC, or even a quarterback coach. The kid that's under Kyle Shanahan, he's the quarterback coach for Brock Purdy right now.
Yeah.
People were saying he was getting looked at jobs. Under Shanahan's tutelage, that dude's probably pretty good, seeing as how Purdy was, in my eyes, throughout playoffs season, he was probably the third best quarterback in the NFL. I don't need stats to pop off the board. I'm talking about winning games.
Yeah, I mean, and Brock Purdy is Mr. Irrelevant, and I believe that kid. Is he the head coach now in Washington? Was that who they took, or the GM? It was something to do with San Francisco and Purdy, correct?
Yeah, it was Purdy. I think it was their OC.
Their OC. Okay, there just feels like there's so much, and we'll dive deeper into the Patriots later on. It just feels like there could be so much, such a better system in place to get a young quarterback going. It just feels like defensive head coach, and I'll go through just quickly. In 2011, he's the offensive assistant coach at LSU. 2012, 2013, offensive assistant coach at Colorado. 2024, quality control coach, Cleveland Browns. 2015, offensive assistant coach, 49ers. 2016, offensive assistant coach, LSU. 2017 and 18, offensive assistant coach back at San Francisco. 2019, like I said, Denver. 2020 to 2023, he's in Cleveland, offensive assistant coach and tight end coach. This is not a guy with a lot of experience being a quarterback's coach, which is what I would want for a young quarterback.
The question is to see when he was the office assistant, who his quarterbacks were with the 49ers then.
Well, I can tell you, I wrote down all the records. So at LSU, they were 13-1. When he was with Colorado for 2 years, they were 5-19. When he was in Cleveland, his first stint, 7-9. When he was with 49ers, they were 5-11. Then back to LSU for an 8-4 season. Then in San Francisco again for 2 years, 10-22. So he did not have a great resume outside of being at LSU.
No, not at all.
And so it just worries me. I don't want to beat them up too much because we haven't seen a lot, obviously. And, Gerard Mayo's press conference today, he said a lot of really good things about Drake May. So I'm going to try to turn the corner and be positive because I do want Drake May. You and I we've disagreed strongly on this. I want him starting. You don't want him starting. Like, I want it to be good.
But, they're going to be a defensive team this year anyway. Their defense, if you really look at it and you get Gonzalez coming back and the players that they drafted and the players that they had in place, I'm hearing big things about, I think his name's Keon White last year, rookie. They're having potential with him. That they're going to be pretty stacked on defense, but unless you're playing like the Baltimore Ravens back in 2001 with a defense with no quarterback, you ain't winning the Super Bowl, and they had Ray Lewis on that team. So
yeah. Ray Lewis isn't on the Patriots, but on the Patriots on the plus side, Gerard Mayo did say everybody is at these mandatory camps, and that includes Judon. So I know Steve, who's not here, so he can't defend himself right now, but he's been a big proponent of Judon is good for half the season, and they should move on from him. Judon's a leader in the locker room, so I don't want to get too hung up on my opening take. I want to hear what you have to say. What's your opening take for us?
So I got Boston, and they are in Kyrie's head. I don't want to hear it from anybody anymore. He can say all he wants. They ain't in his head. They're in his head right now. My record might be a little wrong, but I think he's 0-8 or 0-9 in Boston since that time he stepped on the center logo.
I don't know. I'll trust your research, but I actually agree. And remember, before the series started, I did say that I think Kyrie could shrink in this series. And Drew Holiday and the Celtics and Joe Mazzulla, I'll give a lot of credit to, too, for game planning. Unless Luka Doncic turns out to actually be superhuman and Superman, that's not a very good roster.
And how much more can you do? He had a triple-double last night.
And the thing is, you're not going to stop Luka. And then Kyrie is 6 for 9 in game 1, 0 for 5 from 3-point. And he's 7 for 18 last night, 0 for 3 from 3-point range. And Kyrie last night really wasn't awful, but you're going to need a lot more than 16 points and 6 assists to beat the Celtics team. They're too well-rounded.
Oh, my God, they really are. And Porzingis didn't have a big night last night. I think he scored 12 last night or 13.
He scored 12 last night, and I only know that.
It was 0 for 3 and 3-pointers, and Horford didn't go. White and Holiday. Geez, man. Holiday, I think, had 80% from the field last night.
Drew Holiday, I'll say, it's a 3-horse race for MVP right now, and Luka is the best player in the series.
Oh, yeah.
But unless the Mavericks come back from down 0-2 and win, which they can do, I don't want to sit here and say they can't, the losing team doesn't get the MVP. Luka is the best player, and we can give him the best player award. But Drew Holiday is right up there with Brown and Tatum. And I'll tell you right now, if there's still people out there who I get into arguments with that will say that Lillard trade was still a great trade for Milwaukee, and they'd still do it today, and that to me is just laughable. We can reassess. If next season the Bucks win the title, maybe I can concede this point, but how can you sit here with a straight face and say Drew Holiday isn't the difference maker for the Celtics?
Oh, Yankee, I read an article on this earlier, and I don't know if I was listening to Colin Cohort earlier, and he said it too. The real MVP of this team is Brad Stevens.
Oh yeah, I heard that too. Yes,
I'm not taking nothing away. He got a pretty good setup from Ainge, and then came in this year. It was like, I'm taking KB and Holiday here. There was already Holiday rumors. I didn't even hear about the KP stuff right away. So he's the real MVP right now because I think he got 2 firsts in that Kristaps Porzingis trade too.
Yeah, I believe he did, and I do want to say, because this is another, like, I get in a point of contention with people on social media, and they say, oh, it's such an easy run. You dealt with Miami without Jimmy Butler, and then you got Cleveland without Donovan Mitchell, and then you got Indiana without Tyrese Halliburton. It's like, so I have to apologize because Brad Stevens is a better GM than anybody in Miami, Cleveland, and Indiana. I don't care. One of our stars got hurt too, Porzingis. Brad Stevens constructed such a good roster that it didn't completely cripple us.
No, it didn't cripple us at all. And if you could even say it, they played pretty good with Porzingis out.
They played absolutely great. And one guy I really want to highlight too, the disrespect for Jason Tatum just keeps continuing. I don't know what more people want out of this guy. Do you know that he leads the team in minutes per game, 40.9. He's tied with Brown for points per game, 24.
5 last night.
Yeah, exactly. Rebounds, 10.3 a game. Assists, 6.3 a game. When he's on the floor, the Celtics are a plus 166. And still people will say Tatum, he's not as good as Devin Booker or these guys. It's insane to me, the disrespect. After he goes for 16, 11, and 5 after game 1, they ask him, what was he most proud of? And he said that we won, but I had way too many turnovers, man. His self-awareness, it makes him extremely likable.
Oh, without a doubt. And that was one of my points I had. Tatum went 18, 9, and 12 last night. This close to a triple-double, played 45 minutes in the game. I don't care if he's dropping 35 every game with the cast that we have. We got Brown that can step, Holiday, KP can step up, Derek White can have a great game. You just need him on the floor.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The guy's 26 years old, right? He's filling up the stat sheet. People, again, listen to how absurd this is. In 16 playoff games in this run, he has 12 double-doubles and 1 triple-double. That is insane. 13 out of the 16 games, he's got a double-double or a triple-double.
Tatum's playing at a, I don't want to say more team because they've been playing like a team, but he's playing as a team player, not as that shellfish superstar just trying to shoot 30 shots a game or something like that.
And that's what makes, that's what I hear Boston sports radio saying, that he hasn't been that good. And I just can't disagree more with that sentiment. This kid is 26 years old. He's going to get a monster deal. I hope he's a Boston Celtic forever. As it stands right now, I can reassess in 5 years. But again, you can't make up that he's a +1. The Celtics are a plus 166. To put that in perspective, Jaylen Brown, who has been fantastic, when he's on the floor, the Celtics are plus 83, which is exactly half of what Jason Tatum is. That's how important he is. And Jaylen Brown, he's emerged as a true superstar and could be a number 1 on a team.
He can be. They were having that argument the other day saying that if he wins, why not go to another team and be the one? And he already signed the deal. He's not going anywhere unless we trade him. 1, 2, you got 1A and 1B, and either one could be A one night or B one night.
Yes.
I mean, Tatum's regular season, Tatum, awesome. I don't know what it is about the playoffs, but he's still putting up numbers. Why argue it?
I almost think a lot of these guys like being the contrarian, and they want to say, oh, he hasn't been that good because he hasn't been Kobe or Michael Jordan or any of these guys. But again, he's 26. He has room to grow and get even better than he is. But a stat like 12 double-doubles and 1 triple-double in 16 games, like that to me tells me how good he is, because what he has matured into is a guy who realizes he will do whatever it takes to win, and he doesn't have to touch the ball to win. He kicks it to guys. He gets Drew Holiday open. He's a really good passer. He's a good defender. Him and Brown are doing it all. This is set up to be a dynasty if they hold strong and win the title, which at this point you said in did you say 6? Me and you both said 6, right?
Me and you both said 6, Steve said 7.
Would you be shocked if they swept them at this point?
Not even close.
I mean, and as good as the Mavericks have been, I watched this Mavericks roster, and outside of Doncic and Holiday, which I don't want to doubt them because they can still win. I mean, they beat Minnesota. They've beaten good teams on this road, but they just look completely overmatched. The rest of that team is not that good.
No. You said that in the beginning of this, and I think we all did, that this supporting cast they have they just went on a run, and Luka went on a tear, and Kyrie was playing great.
And Kyrie, like I said, Kyrie made some shots last night that I was really impressed by. Some drives to the hole that I thought, oh, no way that goes in, and he flips it up with the left hand. But he's going to have to be a whole lot better if they have any prayer.
And Tatum and Luka are different levels at their ages that they were. But think of it like this: when Brown and Tatum were playing, and they had Smart, they didn't have a great. It wasn't a phenomenal supporting cast around them in the beginning.
Yeah.
Young, they're still, those two are just there. Add that third piece, and maybe you have a more contended series.
I agree. I think I said it last night in our text chain. I said the Mavericks might be one star away from being a dynasty themselves.
A 1 star. I could perfectly see them and the Celtics going back and forth in the finals for 4 years.
Yeah, like how you saw.
Not every year, but it's there.
No, but you saw Cleveland and Golden State do it, a few years back. You could see this if they get one guy in the offseason, and I don't know who that guy is, but if they get a big in the offseason who complements those two, they'll be around for a long time because they do have good young talent. Like I like Lively a lot, but I don't think he's ready for the moment. They're missing that one piece. And like I said, can they still win? Absolutely. You're going back to Dallas. You're supposed to win at home. So if Dallas won 2 at home, that wouldn't shock me at all.
No, not at all. You're not talking shit to Kyrie the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. But then when you look at it, it's like, what more can Luka do? He's the best player on the planet. I previously said it was Nikola Jokic. It's not. It's Luka.
Oh, I when we did our 1 through 5, I told you Luka was my 1.
Me and you both had Luka 1. Steve had Tatum as
that was under. I believe he's the best player in the world, and it's not even. I have no doubting anybody's. I love Tatum. I love a lot of different players in the NBA, but that kid is just something different.
I agree 100%. Luka Doncic. Steve actually said it in the last podcast. He said he almost reminds him of Jordan, and he's like not the same player, but just how he commands the floor when he shoots. The shots he makes, I don't think he's that far off. He's obviously not as good as Jordan. Kobe's the closest thing we've seen to Jordan. But Luka, he makes it look so effortless. Did you see where he's covered in the paint by 4 guys? And it should have been a travel, but they give the benefit of the doubt to the superstar because his foot's touching. But he makes that shot, and it's just outrageous. Like, he even made it.
The kid, like I said, the kid's crazy. He does stuff that you don't see a lot of people doing in the NBA right now, and you see him this young. He's only gonna get better. That's the scary part.
Which again speaks to that's why we did that exercise, like picking the 5 young players. Like the NBA is in such a good position right now. You have Ant, you have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I know Jaylen's a year older, but Luka, like there's so many young, talented guys in the league right now. Like when you're going to see the old guards start moving out, the LeBrons and the Stephs, like those guys are starting to be dinosaurs in terms of being in the NBA. And this young crop of talent is so good.
Oh, it really is. The NBA set up. The NBA set up for success going later on in the next few years, and you're about to see another dynasty from the Celtics. We're calling that.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I could see it happen.
3 championships the next 4 years. I'll be happy.
I mean, could you imagine the elation in Boston would be great. I mean, we got to see it with New England. The Red Sox have done it a little bit. They've started to win again, not so much recently, and we'll jump into them in a bit. I do want to highlight how good Jaylen Brown has been. Like I said, the Celtics are also a plus 83 on the floor when he's on the floor. Defensively, he's been a monster. You're not going to stop Doncic, but he's done a really good job, and he's actually shooting 4% better in the postseason than he did in the regular season. This is a guy who stepped up.
Oh yeah, loving him watching the game when he's yakking on dudes too. He's showing off a little bit when he goes up that high, man. I'm telling you,
Absolutely.
He stepped up big time.
He really has, and I've been since the All-Star break. I've been pumping his tires the whole time because he went on a run for like a month and a half straight where he was a plus player, that he had over 20 points per game. This is a guy, Steve always mentions it. He got paid and he didn't get lazy. He got better.
No, we go way better. It showed them something. It showed something.
I mean, this is a kid, you never want to see anyone get hurt. I always say that. But this is a guy, like, if Tatum got hurt, like, you don't feel like, like how Miami felt when Jimmy Butler went down, or Donovan, like how the Cavs feel when Donovan Mitchell goes down. Like, you don't want to see Tatum go down, but you look at it and you're like, we still have Brown.
That's how I feel. I still feel KP, Brown, Holiday, and White on the floor and having Tatum be out of game, but I don't want him out of game. Definitely don't want him out of game, but,
no.
you know.
Let's talk a little bit, too, about the unicorn. Kristaps Porzingis, I would have been completely okay if he was rusty in game one. Very understandable. He was anything but.
He was playing it off. They were asking him if he was hurt in the press conference before the game the day before.
Yeah.
And he sits there and pauses. They were like, so are you 100%? He goes, he was like staring off in the back, like looking for someone to give me an answer, please. Give me an answer. And he goes, no, I'm okay. Comes out and does the 3 blocks right then and there, or the shooting, he was insane.
Their offense, too, when he's on the court and it runs through him, it just looks so deadly and good. I mean, 8 for 13 in game one, 2 for 4 from 3-pointers, 20 points, 6 boards. Mazzulla, again, I've been hard on Mazzulla, not hard on him, but the live by the 3, die by the 3. But, man, to start Horford, have Porzingis come off the bench, it just looked so good.
Looked great. And you think you see KP coming and start the next 2 games?
I think they're going to keep it as is. I think that this is a run. So, firstly, I'll say this. Mazzulla, did you see after the game, he said he has zero concern about Porzingis being hurt. He took that little tumble. I think this is Al Horford's last ride. And I think that the Celtics are going to win. I hope they win it in Boston. I'd like them to sweep, obviously. But if Dallas is going to steal one at home, that's fine, because I would love to see Horford get his title as a starter. And it's working right now. You have Porzingis coming off the bench. It doesn't matter who starts these games. It's who's there on the court at the end of games. So, Porzingis, if you want to limit his minutes, I'm okay with it.
Oh, I'm okay with it. It's like having a starter as your 6th man, but
yeah, it really is. I mean, you're not wrong.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I just, going back into Dallas, back, maybe start a game, but maybe you're right. Horford's last run, let him start the game. He's not playing bad.
No.
Little, these 5 points last night, whatever it was, but he had like 8 rebounds or something like that. He didn't play bad. It just, the game was in other hands last night. You didn't need to worry about it when it came to it.
He hit that 3 in the first. It was the only time they were talking about it. There's like 15 seconds left. They're like, this is the first time all postseason the Celtics haven't hit a 3 in the first. And then Horford comes down in 6 while he drills one. So Horford kept that run going too. This has been such a fun run. I do want to talk 2 negatives, and there's not a ton. The first negative is game one, that sloppy third quarter. The Mavericks go on a 20-9 run. They end up cutting it to 8. Those little runs can hurt you if you don't have a 25-point lead like they did.
So you say that, but I also mentioned how good they are in the clutch.
They are, but if the game is, let's just play a hypothetical. If the Mavericks keep it close, if they're not down 25 and they're down 3, and then they go on a 20-9 run, that's where momentum can start to shift, especially if you're in Dallas.
See, now, and I don't disagree, but you also have a Dallas team that doesn't have a team that shoots 38% from 3 in an average, in a series.
Yeah, no, that is true. Like I said, it just come out strong. When you have these guys down like you do, I know they love the 3, but it is okay to move that ball around. And
completely. No, I don't disagree. I know they love it. They need to do what you're saying. Keep it at that rate. If you're up by 18, stay up by 18.
Yeah, it's death by 1,000 paper cuts. If they go down, if they go down the floor, Dallas, and they score two, you don't have to come down and shoot a three. Work a good possession and get two because that they're not gaining on you now. Now we're batting even. If they go down and shoot a three and hit it, and then you come back up the court, you know that they're not going to shoot themselves back into games. That's not Dallas's game. Dallas's game is going to be getting back into the game with fast breaks and twos.
Yeah, and they can. They are fast.
And that's the thing is like it truly, it probably sounds like an arrogant Boston sports fan. I'm not worried about Dallas. I think they're a good team. They made the finals. I don't think they have the horses to stay with the Celtics. When you look at the Celtics roster, they are primed to win. They were built. Brad Stevens did a phenomenal job building this roster.
That's MVP right there, man. That's MVP.
Okay. And then the other negative that I want to talk to you about is it time to bench Sam Hauser?
I think he should have been benched at the end of the Indiana series.
Yeah. He is. So I don't just say this is, we're on the same page then. He's a rhythm shooter, right? His regular season minutes per game, 22, postseason, 14 and a half, regular season 3-point percentage, 42, postseason, 32.
Yeah.
This is not a guy primed for a big game. I don't need to see him.
They also can't. He can't get into his rhythm at 14 minutes. And I'm not saying he's going to do that every night, but because he's had some good nights for us, he can't do it. He can't do it consistently. And without the minutes, there's no point to even. There's no point.
And that's the thing. He hasn't had a big game for the Celtics. I think since the Miami series, didn't he have 16 in one of those games?
Yep. And
I think since then,
that was the last thing you saw.
Yeah, and if Joe Mazzulla, like I get it, guys need breaks, guys' legs need a rest. If I'm Joe Mazzulla and Sam Hauser has to go out there, unless you have about country mile radius around you, don't shoot it. Just look for a play because he's ice cold. I mean, his 3-point percentage, that's all he does is shoot threes, and it's 10% worse than it was in the regular season. That's a guy. It's like when we're talking about runs, he'll shoot you right out of it.
Oh, of course. No, don't disagree at all. Like I said, if he can't get into a rhythm, there's no point. Bench him. See you later.
Absolutely. So now we're going back to Dallas. Do you think Dallas has a fight in them coming up? I think Wednesday, 8:00, I believe. Do you think the Celtics steal one in Dallas? Do you think Dallas can win two?
I hope they steal one because it comes back to Boston. Like I said, Kyrie's not going to play as bad as he did in Boston and Dallas. It's not going to happen. And if you see that, then they really got into him. And kudos to Boston Celtics fans if you did.
I don't think Kyrie likes playing in Boston. I think that I don't think he was disingenuous when he was here and he said he wanted to play here for a long time. And then I think he didn't like it here for whatever reason, whatever his reasoning was, he didn't want to play here. And he grew to really hate this place. And he likes Tatum. He likes Brown. Didn't like playing here. I do think the fans get into him. And like I said, I don't love the Kyrie sucks chance because I don't want to give him any motivation. I love the booing, but the defense on him's been so good. I think that's a huge contributor too. Like he's not getting the points and the looks that he normally gets.
Nope. The only other thing I'm worried about going to Dallas is Luka having one of them 46 triple-double nights, going God mode. He's done it in Dallas, I think 3 or 4 times in these playoffs.
Yeah.
Getting that from one player's a huge, huge help.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. Like Luka is going to score. Kyrie can score. Can the rest of the Dallas team do anything? Lively, Gafford, these guys, they don't have the horses to stay with the Celtics. So it actually really doesn't worry me when we talk about where the series is going. Like we both agree, this could be a sweep.
Oh, it could be a sweep, hands down. Game, if not, like I said, You win one, and you win one. You come back. You win. You finish out the series in Boston.
Yeah, 100%. Do you have a prediction, or do you want to wait till the end of the show for our prediction for Game 3?
No. We're gonna do Game 3. We're gonna do. I'm gonna pick the Celtics to take the first game in Dallas. It's gonna be 111 to 106. We'll close.
111, 106, close game. I will also take the Celtics in this game, and we'll call it 114, 102 for the Celtics. I just, again, I don't want to disrespect Dallas because Luke is the best player on the planet. Kyrie's probably a top 10 player in the NBA, maybe top 15. I think the rest of that team, in terms of NBA talent, because if it's me against Daniel Gafford, I don't think I would even get a shot off. But that is a garbage. Like the rest of that roster is garbage. They're not good enough to beat the Celtics. And that's my opinion. I could be wrong, but I guess time will tell in that one. And so what I want to do now is move on to, because we're so high right now, up and down, we love this team. Let's go to the downside of things, and let's go to the Red Sox, because I'm infuriated with John Henry.
I said it last one. John Henry needs to sell the damn team.
I wrote a story about this. You said it. I said it. What really infuriates me is how lost he is in all this. To come out and say that the fans have unrealistic expectations to win championships annually, that's insulting, and it's completely false. Any real fan understands that only one team wins every year. So you have a 1 in 30 chance to win. However, I do not think it's unrealistic to ask Boston, a big market team, to compete every year.
That's all it is. That's all you want.
Give me a chance.
Yeah, give us something to get into the wild card, something, because this is not the way to control a baseball team. It's not.
No, and this is a team who's 500. They've been playing 500 baseball. They're 33 and 33. They're playing exactly how I'm expecting them to right now. They win one, they lose one. They win one, they lose one. But Henry's decided that we're not going to purchase talent. We're going to have the highest ticket prices, the highest concession prices, and I'm not going to field a team that's equivalent to that. From 2002 to 2011, they had six playoff appearances, 2 World Series championships. They were above 500 for 10 straight years when the first 10 years he owned this team. They had 0 last place finishes. Third was their worst finish. From 2012 to the present, and I excluded the COVID year, they had 5 playoff appearances, 2 World Series championships, above 500 only 6 times, and they have 5 last place finishes.
Yeah, I think you guys were talking about it when we said that Henry needed to sell, and he was too occupied with owning other teams now. He's way too into it. Like, seriously.
That's what he cares about. He's an entrepreneur. This is a guy who wants to own and make a ton of money. And it doesn't jibe with me as a fan, because I've been a fan of this team since my father was bringing me to games when I was a T-ball player. And I just want to see a competitive team. I remember the heartbreaks. I remember I was sitting in my room as an 18-year-old kid when I watched Aaron Boone hit that moonshot off of Tim Wakefield. I was wearing a Nomar Garciaparra jersey, and I took that jersey off. I just put it on my bed, and I went to sleep, and I didn't watch SportsCenter for 2 weeks because I love this team, and they lost, and it broke my heart. And now I'm watching a team that looks up at the standings at Baltimore and Tampa and Toronto, and 5 times we're in last place. That's not what I'm used to. I don't expect them to win a title every year, but I expect October baseball.
I expect winning baseball.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Winning baseball. Again, I don't have to, like you said, I don't have to win a championship every year. I just want to see you have 160 plus games a year. I want to see winning baseball for majority of it.
And again, well, like I said, if they win 90, that's 55% win. If they win 90, I think one of the years from 2011, 2002 to 2011, one year they didn't make the playoffs. They won 93 games. I'm okay if you don't make the playoffs with 93 wins. That's a good year. That
No,
means there's a lot of good talent in the league. But you can't finish last place 5 times over the last 10 years and tell me it's unrealistic what you're asking of us. No, I'm not. Not in a big sports market.
no, not at all. And he's not doing anything. He's not doing anything to help it. And they're not doing anything to help it. They need something to change. Their pitching, and some of their pitchers are pitching great, but the wins and loss records won't show it. Bello, awful right now, completely awful. How do you against a 17-win Chicago Cubs team? I mean, Chicago
White Sox, yeah.
Yep, 9 hits, 5 earned runs.
He's been up and down. That Brian Bello he's a young pitcher, and I had high hopes for him. He hasn't matured into the guy I've wanted him to. I agree with you. That was really frustrating. It's, as we're talking about this, the Red Sox, believe it or not, are a game and a half out of a wild card spot.
No, they are. But unless they do something, they're not going to make it.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, this is a bear of a week. They're off tonight. Then they have 3 against the Phillies and 3 against the Yankees. And combined, the Phillies are 45-20. The Yankees are 46-21. They're 50 games over 500 combined, and they have a combined plus 219 run differential.
Yeah, the Phillies in my eyes are the best team in baseball right now.
I don't know if you got a chance. I watched both the London games against the Mets, and they lost. The second game, but man, they're a fun team to watch too. The Phillies. I actually really like that team. Bryce Harper is so good. I love Schwarber.
Oh, that's another guy we should have never let him rake.
He was a monster. I went to the ALCS game, the Schwarber Grand Slam game. Me and my cousin and my son, we went to that game. They had the baby in the crowd. People were chanting baby. It was a fantastic game, but what a fun night that was. And when they let him go, it was I was devastated because I like Schwarber. I like Schwarber in Chicago when he was on the Cubs.
No, let him go. I was really upset because he didn't come here. His average might have not been great, but the dude was
never is. Yeah, his average is dog shit, but he hits monsters. I mean, the guy, and he's a big game player.
Yeah, no, he's a clutch player too. Exactly. He could. I liked him when they got rid of him. I thought it was stupid.
Yeah.
They
traded for him as a rental, but he is a guy I wish they would have signed. Again, this goes back to John Henry saying we have unrealistic expectations. Is Kyle Schwarber really a guy that you couldn't have afforded in Boston? He doesn't want to pay luxury tax. He wants to buy an NBA franchise. He doesn't care about the winning. He's won.
No, yeah, he already did what he needed to do in the sport.
I mean, and to put it like, like I said, 2012 to the present, the 5 last place finishes, right? In 2013, they spend more than they did the previous year in free agency. They win a World Series. 2014, they spend less money in free agency. They come in last place. 2016, 2017, 2018, they spent more consecutively every single year. They came in first place every single year. They won a World Series in 2018. You spend money in baseball. You mix young talent with free agency, and that's a winning quotient for teams like the Phillies, like the Yankees, like the Red Sox, like the Dodgers, the Astros. You have to spend to win. And it's a 162-game season. And right now, you're facing a week where if you go 0-6 against the Yankees and Phillies, you're going to start hearing more of the trade Tyler O'Neill, Kenley Jansen, Nick Pivetta, and that's the last thing I want to hear.
No, Pivetta pitched great the other day too.
Yeah, Pavetta's been on fire. Cutter Crawford's come back down to earth. If you can move on from him, I would. I've never been a Cutter Crawford fan. I've been high on him this year because he's been a lot better. But he is a guy who, if they moved on from him, and I put together a list of about, I don't even know, probably 15 guys that I think we could trade for. And before people say, oh, it's not a video game, I don't expect them to trade for 15 guys. So just pump the brakes, everybody out there who gets mad. Yeah, I put them in tiers of guys I would want to see. And let's get your reaction, your reaction to these guys. Are you ready for this?
Let's go.
So tier 1, these are my tier 1 guys who I want them to get. 1, 2, or 3 of them. 2 of them would probably come in a package together. The Chicago White Sox have already come out and said that they would move on from Luis Robert Jr., Lou Bob, and Garrett Crochet, their starting pitcher. So those two make my tier one.
Good. I take it. I mean, Chicago's definitely selling. They have 17 wins. So
Yeah, and Lou Bob just got back. I'll credit this to my cousin too, because my cousin, he's from New Jersey, actually. His dad's a Phillies fan, but he grew up summers in Boston, so he's a Sox fan, and he lives down in Tampa. He's the one who sent me the Lou Bob. He's like, oh, this. So I started looking into him. He's just back from injury, but center fielder, great right-handed bat, and John Henry, if you're paying attention, $12.5 million, but he's good through 2028 as a center fielder. You can move Ceddanne Rafaela to shortstop.
that's good money right there.
Great money. Garrett Crochet, $800,000, and he's under contract till 2027. He's a young stud pitcher. My expensive one for tier one trades is Pete Alonso. You know I've been big on Pete Alonso. $20 million. Him and the Mets seem like they're headed for a divorce, so I want Pete Alonso here. Monster first base, right-handed hitter, would rake the monster.
Oh, he would rake it all day long.
All right. So you're on board with any of those three? A combination of those?
With tier one, I'm definitely on board with them. I want to know what we have to do for that package for the White Sox, but that's a good tier.
So when I just decided to go through this, my thought process through all this, because I wanted to try to do it realistic, I went after guys who weren't too expensive, minus Pete Alonso, who's $20.5 million, but he's going to be looking for a deal. So you would have to pay him. And I went for teams that were already 10 games below 500.
Okay.
So I figured these are teams who are going to look. So these are young players you're giving up. And, we can go to the well on they're not going to want major league ball players. They're going to want prospects. And it's frustrating because the Red Sox won't do it because they're in this, like, we need to rebuild a farm system. And to be perfectly honest, I don't care how the Worcester Red Sox are doing. I don't watch them. I watch the Boston Red Sox.
No, I watched the Boston Red Sox. I don't watch Worcester. So
yeah. So my tier two guys will stick with the Chicago White Sox. I have one Chicago White Sox in my tier two, which is Paul DeJong, the shortstop. Doesn't hit for a great average, but he's a better shortstop option than we have right now. He's got a decent glove, $1.75 million. He's up after this year too, so if he doesn't work out, you can let him walk. I have one Miami player who's an outlier who I don't think they would give up. Jazz Chisholm Jr., the center fielder.
I love that one.
I love Jazz Chisholm, and he's not having a great year this year, but Miami's putrid this year, so he's good till 2027.
Good to change the scenery. I said it in the text earlier. That's what you need for some players.
$2.6 million, and he's good through 2027. So you have him for a few more years if you can make a move to get him. I have two Oakland Athletics. I have Kyle McCann, the catcher, who's $740,000. He's pre-arbitration. McCann's played pretty well. He's played primarily backup because in tier three, I actually have Shea Langeliers. I don't know how to say it. I won't butcher it, but Langeliers, their other catcher. I'm the Reese McGuire. I'm done with that. He's not very good. He hits really poor. Kyle McCann hits pretty well, but he's a backup anyway. So you're going to be backing up Connor Wong anyway. So he's a better option.
That's not. I'm not disagreeing with that one.
And then relief pitcher out of Oakland, Mason Miller, who has a sub-2 ERA. And we need help in the bullpen.
Oh, we need help everywhere.
He's another guy, $740,000. He's pre-arbitration. Oakland I thought Oakland would be a team who was the worst team in the league, and they've been a lot better than I thought they would, which makes me think you might be able to steal some good players from them because they don't want to be good.
No, because they're getting ready to move anyway.
Yeah, and then my last two for tier two are both relief pitchers, Dylan Floro, Kyle Finnegan. Again, Floro, $2.25 million. He's good until the end of this year or until 2025. Kyle Finnegan's $5.1 million. A little more expensive in your bullpen. You'd have him to 2026. Again, it's just bullpen help.
I like
both really serviceable. Sub-2. Okay, and then tier three are we have two more Miami players. Tim Anderson, formerly of the White Sox, shortstop.
Yep, or White Sox. Yep.
Not a great average, but our shortstop play is really terrible. So That means you keep Rafaela in the outfield. Tim Anderson's your shortstop. Also, I think the Red Sox have talked about it every year for the last 3 years. Josh Bell, the first baseman.
Oh, they've talked about him at least now.
Yeah. Again, $16.5 million. He's good until 2020. He's a free agent in 2025, so it's good till the end of the year. But with Bobby Dahlbeck is terrible. He doesn't belong in the majors, and I just think at first base you need someone right now until Tristan Casas is back anyway. I already talked about Lange Lears, who's pre-arbitration. Michael Kelly, also a relief pitcher out of Oakland, yep. 274,000, sub-2 ERA, I think. It might be sub-3. And then Drew Smith, who's a relief pitcher in New York Mets, really good. He actually, I think, blew a lead this weekend, but $2.25 million. Those were my players that I kind of looked at and thought, well, why don't you're a game and a half out? Why not try to do something?
Well, and I have a secret one here that I mentioned to you earlier.
Bring that up because I love it.
I heard Vladdy might be on the move.
So where do you remember where you heard this?
It was 2 articles I was reading earlier of teams that be willing to sell with, higher players, get better prospects, move the team. And because the Blue Jays are in last, if it continues that way, Vladdy might be up there because he's coming up in a contract year.
Okay, so just quickly, I just Googled it. Bleacher Report, MLB Trade Rumors, and Sports Illustrated. I just quick Google search, all 3 of them. Cubs privately discuss Vladimir Guerrero trade.
Yeah, so I'm telling. So he might get traded. He might get traded,
and I would love that. I don't think the Blue Jays would trade Vlad Guerrero to the Red Sox. The only problem.
You'd have to give them some type of top 25 prospects on your team with like 3 of them at that, and then probably a pitcher to send over there.
I agree. The guy I really want, aside from Pete Alonso, who I've been really high on, is the Lou Bob. Lou Bob is coming back from injury. He's actually only played 12 games this year. And right now, if people look at it, he's batting 188. I know it ain't great. Last year, he batted 264, 38 home runs, 80 RBIs in center field. The guy is a really, really talented player. And if they're willing to give up Garrett Crochet too, you might be able to get a center fielder and a starting pitcher. And that really helps this team right now.
No, it does. It does a lot. And you definitely – I need a starting pitcher. You need one. We had a relief pitcher pitch yesterday.
Yeah.
Or 2 innings in the 2 innings in the beginning of the game. Like, what is this?
It's just to the point where, like, I'll take his own words right out of his mouth. Like, we have unrealistic expectations. We don't. I'm expecting you to compete. Show me that you care and you want to compete, which this is a guy who wants to make money. If you go to the postseason, you're going to be making money.
You are going to make money, but again, I guess you don't care about money. This dude is just, he makes no sense. None at all. You're talking to the wrong fan group saying that stuff because they're just going to turn on you quickly.
Yeah. That's all I have for the Red Sox right now, outside of the fact that I'm frustrated with them. And
well I got one thing on the Red Sox, but boy, Duran just hit his 10th triple the other day. He's in 20 on the season right now.
Which Duran's been great. I mean, that's the thing is you see sparks of life in this team where they have good players on this team. They can compete. Give them a little help.
That's all I want. Just a little bit.
And I don't want to with a team that's 500. Sorry, I know I said we were going to move on. With a team that's 500 in a game and a half. I know it's only 66 games in. We're not even halfway through a season, but you're only a game and a half out of a wild card spot, and we're talking about trading one of our best pitchers, one of our best batters, and Tyler O'Neill, and our closer. That's insane to me.
Yeah, they're stupid. Wish I could football team because, geez, man, I'd be dropping money if I own the Red Sox.
You aren't kidding, man. I mean, I remember as a kid being like, if I ever win money, I'd like to buy the Red Sox. I didn't really understand the value of $1.
No one understood the value, but you got the payroll to spend the money. Come on.
Absolutely. The guy's he's a billionaire. Like it's unreal. He owns RFK Racing. He owns a soccer club. He owns the Penguins. He owns the Red Sox. I mean, just care about the product. That's all we have as fans. You know what I mean? I'm never going to own a sports franchise. I am a fan first. I am we're podcasters and we're talking sports heads, but I'm a fan at heart.
No, but that's all we got. We won't be professional baseball players or football players or any of that stuff. We're not there. So the only thing we have is to watch the product, and the product right now is not great to watch.
It really isn't. And speaking of not great products to watch, Kiefer, why don't we talk some Patriots?
So
you had some stuff for us. So we're gonna bang the Patriots out here quick. Talk a little Stanley Cup before we end this thing. So why don't you kick us off with the Patriots?
So I was on CBS Sportsline reading earlier, and I already talked to you guys about my boy Bell over there, maybe being a gadget player for us, stuff like that. Well, got an impressive stat for him.
Okay.
In college, playing for South Carolina and Florida State, he had 94 receptions.
Okay.
In those 4 receptions, he had 38%, 38.2% of them were missed tackles.
Oh, really?
He might not be able to separate great, but when I say if utilized as a gadget type, like a Y type player out the backfield, and in routes against zone underneath, he could thrive the right way. And I said this prior. If they use him the right way, you'll be able to see it. I think this kid by the end of the season is gonna be a big target for the younger quarterback group.
Well, I hope you're right because I liked Jaheim Bell too. Steve loved Jaheim Bell. But I do think we're going to see Drake May this year. I do. I know you want him to sit and wait. I think you're going to see him regardless. I don't know if it's going to be week 1 or week 12, but I think at some point you're going to see him because at a certain point, if they're competitive with Jacoby Brissett, then you won't see him. I don't expect them to be competitive with Jacoby Brissett. So if they're sitting at 4-10 or 3-11, you might say, let's see what Drake May can do in some games. If he's got a reliable guy, a gadget type guy that he can just kind of force the ball to, like Jaheim Bell, if Jaheim Bell's that's huge for a young quarterback.
Oh, it is because he's doing all your underneath stuff. He's out there in the backfield, either blocking or running out the backfield for you. Give him run small reverses from the ends. He probably could do a lot for him and help him in a lot of ways. I mean, you got Hooper and Hunter Henry, who are your typical tight ends.
Yes.
They're not going to do what this kid potentially can do.
Well,
So,
yeah.
That's how I look at it. I think this kid's going to be a good player. I'm still worried about May. I'm worried about him.
I'm worried about him for the wrong reasons. I'm worried about him because I'm worried about that they didn't put the right coaches around him now. I know he has the footwork thing is an issue, but if you can coach, there's stuff that can be coached. I mean, Tom Brady, he was already the best quarterback on the planet, and he had quarterbacks coaches who said, this is a guy who's the best at what he does. He's trying to get 1% better. He's trying to get the ball out 0.02 seconds faster. Like, so you're always working on your game. So bad footwork can be coached. My worry again is that TC McCartney, the quarterback coach, isn't a quarterback coach. He was a tight ends coach last. He hasn't been a quarterbacks coach since 2019. That's 5 years ago. And when he was, the statistically Denver wasn't good. And you can't tell me Joe Flacco's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's older at the time. You handed TC McCartney Drew Lock, who was a young quarterback in 2019, and he's never looked that good. It worries me that you're giving a young quarterback. He's almost getting. You gave Mac Jones, you gave him Josh McDaniels, and he thrived. That's what you need. You need somebody who knows how to coach a quarterback.
So I'm going to pull it a little crazy. You were just mentioning Brady. If I'm not mistaken, there was a couple rookies and some other quarterbacks that went to that roast that did a little coaching with Brady. Played a little bit of football with him. Now, if you look at Shadori Sanders,
Yeah.
Before his season in Colorado, he was actually training with Brady and playing with him. Now, if you saw him at Jackson State compared to Colorado, you would say he's probably going to be one of the top quarterbacks picked in the draft next year.
Yeah.
If you could get someone with Brady's knowledge to come coach Maine, that would be insane. You ain't going to find it.
Yeah.
But you a guy that learned under Brady. I think that was the only reason why they brought him in. They brought Jacoby in to guide this kid.
Which and that's fine. I'm all right with it. And Alex Van Pelt was a former quarterback in the NFL. He was never a starter. He's a journeyman. But again, it's just I worry that we've brought in a guy who hasn't called plays since 2009. We have a quarterbacks coach who was a tight ends coach last year. And we have a defensive head coach who, when I was listening to Zolak and he's saying, I'm watching him walk around the field and he's not keying in on any groups. He kind of looked lost. It's Gerard Mayo's first year. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I don't think there's any secret here. I don't think this is a roster built for success right now. This is a rebuild.
No, we're in a rebuild. We were in a rebuild from 2 years ago.
Well, and as for a rebuild, I give you credit, right? For a few podcasts ago, you said this was going to be a heavy running team.
Definitely is with all defense, and this defense. I'm telling you, defense is going to shock people this year.
Well, in Mayo's press conference today, they're close to a deal with Ramondre Stevenson. Mayo said he's the best back in the league, or one of the best backs in the league.
If he's healthy, I won't be surprised if I see at least 1,300 yards from him this season.
1,300. He had 600 and something last year. You think 1,300, huh?
If he has a healthy season, I'm hoping for 1,300.
Yeah, and then other reports. Judon's there. We talked about this in the opener. Should the Patriots pay Matt Judon now that he's showing up?
No. They should.
They should. Steve would blow a gasket right now.
But because he already said it, I think Judon's great for this team.
Okay.
I think and I'm not sure if he has that captaincy. I can't remember if he is, but he is the captain of this team right now. Who else is trying to take over this team and show that he's there for them?
I'm iffy with Judon because statistically, Steve is right. When you look at his break,
I know
1 through 8, he's great. Past that, he tires out. So, like I said, I'm iffy with that. But I love Judon, the player, when he is on the field. I don't know how much I pay him, but I probably do give him some money because he's a big name as well.
No, he is. And I want to pay him. Like I said, if he can be here to help the team, I'll take the stud 8 games and paying. I don't want to pay him outrageous money. He's going towards the end of his career now. But if he's playing and he's playing good for 10 games, I'll take that 10 games because who else do you have that's not going to be there for him?
We can definitely agree there because he is probably one of the better players on your team right now. I will mention too, they said Drake May, day one, he had one of his best practices yet. Gerard Mayo came out and said that pay no attention to where they're getting the reps. Drake May's getting quarterback 2 reps, but he was saying that there really is no depth chart right now. But they did say Drake May looked really good today, or day one, I should say.
Well, yeah,
it's going to be Jacoby Brissett. I'm not going to argue with you there. I've argued my point. I want May in the seat. It's not going to be him. It's going to be Jacoby.
No, it is. It is. And I'm looking at stuff when you hear it practice, you hear the reps, all that. I watched a video today of Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Throw the ball to Keenan Allen.
I saw this with
and he goes, hell no. What did you just?
Yeah.
I guess a couple of these OTA practices, he's thrown like 7 picks in second and consecutive passes.
Which is crazy because then I see another report that says, like a Chicago sports writer is saying that he believes that the Bears have a chance to play for the Super Bowl with Caleb Williams. So it's like, hey, where do you get this information from? You know what I mean? Because I saw the same thing you saw with Keenan Allen, not pleased with these throws.
No, and I don't even have Chicago sports on like my stuff, and I still see things popping up about him, about how he's not, oh man, maybe this wasn't the right thing or this and that. Meanwhile, you got Jalen Daniels having great time at OTAs.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that Maine can't start. I just want to see what he could do now, training camp, preseason.
I agree with you. And before we say goodbye here, I know Steve's opening thought was going to be NHL Stanley Cup. So I just want to touch on the Stanley Cup. The Panthers lead that series 1-0. Bobrovsky saves 32 shots in a 3-0 win. They're playing right now as we speak. The Oilers were just snake bitten. 32 shots. They outshot Florida 32-18. Almost reminiscent of what we saw for the Bruins. My prediction is Connor McDavid scores twice tonight. I predicted this earlier, so I could be 100% wrong right now, and they could be getting throttled. I'm clearly not. Actually, the Oilers are up 1-0 right now. So, in the first, what do you think about this series going forward?
So I'm going with my boy Dave Portnoy here, who dropped $1 million bet on them and on them to win anyway. But I just don't want to see Florida win because they beat us again. So, but Florida's team is absolutely insane. I think we said it before that whoever came out of that Panther series with the Red Rangers was winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So I could see Florida actually winning the cup.
I could see Florida. I actually predicted them. I think I don't know if I did it on a podcast or through writing. I believe I picked the Panthers. I said I thought they would win the Stanley Cup. Before we go, like I said, this was Steve's opening take, so I want to give him the credit for it. Edmonton could be the first Canadian team to win a Stanley Cup since the 1993 Montreal Canadiens, and they could end their own drought of 34 years because I believe they won in 1990. Florida, on the other hand, could win their first championship. Here's an interesting stat for you and for everyone out there. In the last 30 years, hockey, Canada is credited as the inventors, the game we see today. In the last 30 years, Canada has one Stanley Cup championship. The state of Florida has 3. All with the Lightning, 04, 2020, and 2021. Game 2's tonight. Edmonton is up 1-0. Who do you have for this series? What do you think?
Panthers are going to win in 6.
Panthers in 6. I like the Panthers in 7. And that's all I have for today. Any final thoughts for you, Kiefer?
Let's get some trades going for them Sox and go Celtics, baby. Let's go.
Trades for the Sox for sure. I want Alonzo Lubbob and Garrett Crochet, and then you can erase the rest. Celtics, keep up the intensity and the pressure. Stevie, our guy, get better. Happy early birthday again to little Dave, my younger brother, who's out in California. He's a DJ out there, so check him out too, DJ Prism. Kiefer, love doing this with you. Absolutely blast with you, my guy. Hopefully you're right about the Patriots, that their defensive run and they're going to surprise us. We are partnered with Jones and for Sports. We make sports better. Kiefer, last word.
Hey, go Celtics. Let's get this going.
Take it easy, my guy.
You, brother.